My work is a kind of a combination of many different styles in a way. It's like, it's a little postmodern, it's a little feminist, it's a little conceptual, and I try to push them into new areas. Hi, I'm Mary Coss. I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm a visual artist who received one of the SOLA Awards in 2019. I never made a conscious decision that I was going to become an artist. It was always just there, and I lived in an environment of politics. My father was a judge, and my mother was into kind of alternative spirituality. When I was a younger girl, I had lived through the Detroit riots, and there was this expressway that went right through Detroit, and both sides of the freeway, the buildings were just burning. So it was like driving through the middle of these flames, and I think that it stayed with me a long time, and it came out in this painting. The whole time I went through school, I never took one class in the sculpture department, and the reason was because if you wanted to be in the sculpture studio, you basically had to be one of the guys, and I wasn't willing to do that. So my early work is all like using alternative materials, and then I started working kind of real interactively. I was doing things where I was collecting stories, and on my 25th birthday, I wrote 25 secrets from my life, and I wrote them on women's underclothing, and then I took them out into the world, and I left them places. And they were pretty intense secrets. So it was cool because I actually heard people discussing the work. I feel like the real function of art is asking questions. I want to put out my opinion, and I want to ask a question, and somewhere in between is the sweet spot where I'm not telling people what to think at all. I'm just prodding them to think. I've done a lot of work about gun violence, and you take a bullet shell and you use it as a candle holder. What do we think of when we see a candle burning? We think about honoring a life. It's why I use objects and I abstract them into different things. My approach to creating work that serves social justice is also something that works its way into my public work. Creating access for everybody. It's like a democratization of artwork. And when you broaden your audience like that, it just brings a lot of different stuff to the forefront. I think that the ghost log is kind of emblematic of the way that I've worked for a long time. I was assigned to create the story of a lumber mill that had been burnt down. But all I could think about was, well, what was here before the lumber mill? So I got in touch with members from the Puyallup tribe and ended up working closely with them to incorporate their story. So in the end, I was able to tell like the story of the site, the story of the water, the lumber mill, and the tribe's history too. Water has been something that has mesmerized me for years, and part of my work about water was thinking about how global warming is impacting migration patterns. I'm creating these suitcases, and I'm thinking about like all the reasons why people move and migrate. Water is a universal symbol that everyone has a personal relationship with. I have moved from coast to coast, and I've always lived near the water. And that migration path has taken my family now to Seattle. There's this continuous path that is ongoing, and who knows where we end up eventually. I really believe that we all do what we can do, and we create little ripples, and for a long time I felt like my contribution is to create these ripples. I've always worked kind of in alternative spaces. It's hard to continue to feel strong about your self-concept and yourself as a professional artist, and Having the SOLA award was just really like a validation that means a lot. Your work needs to be your work, and following an idea that seems crazy, that's the stuff you have to follow. And it's not easy, but you have to be your authentic self and follow your intuition.